After Daniel's sacrifice, I used the good deeds accumulated during my lifetime to make a wager with King Yama. I would be transformed into 7 different animals. If someone recognized me each time, I would be resurrected. If I failed, I would dutifully serve as an assistant in the underworld. My first transformation was into a southern cockroach. I remembered an internet meme I saw when I was alive. If you turn into a cockroach, will I still love you? I sent it to Mom. She replied, of course, even if my star turns into a cockroach, you'll be the cutest one. I'll take good care of you and let you live in the prettiest box. I asked, what if I turn into a snake and you don't recognize me? Mom said, just jump on me, climb on my nose, and my eyes will know it's you. I hugged my phone, grinning foolishly. A daughter's simple joy, clinging to her mother, was just like that. Little did I know then that a casual joke would become reality. I truly became a southern cockroach, even attending my own memorial service. Leaders and colleagues from the bureau all came, their faces solemn. My closest student was supporting Mom and Tin, who looked utterly devastated. After only a few days apart, Mom's hair was nearly half gray. She was a woman who cherished beauty, dyeing her hair every 2 months, never tolerating more than 3 silver strands on her head. As a cockroach, my heart ached unbearably. My 2 antennae trembled sorrowfully. The photo on the altar was my favorite. Eyes sharp as a saw, a confident smile, and a crescent-shaped scar beneath my right eye. That scar was a trophy I earned fighting criminals. It was taken when I was promoted, full of vigor. I had many copies in my room but never dared to show Mom. I even had surgery to remove the scar, fearing her worry. Mom must have placed the photo in the frame herself. It was the first time she'd ever done so. But I forgave her, for I was now a cockroach, constantly pursued. I dared not reveal myself casually in the crowd, fearing I'd be crushed under a shoe before Mom could even recognize me. I waited for a long time, waited until the mourners thinned out. Only Mom and Tin remained before my altar photo, folding joss paper in her hands. Each paper gold ingot was born from her hands, then perished in the flames. She whispered, my little star, come visit Mom, I miss you. I'm burning lots of joss paper for you. They say dreams are expensive over there, so I'll burn a little more. Come into my dreams, okay? Yet, she had always been a staunch materialist, a resilient soldier. I couldn't bear it anymore. Crawling out from a hidden corner, I quickly scurried onto my altar photo, precisely finding the crescent-shaped scar. My entire cockroach body covered it, leaving not a single bit exposed. Mom and Tin looked up, momentarily stunned. Seeing the cockroach resting on the photo, she suddenly burst into frantic sobs. Star, is that you? My star, have you come back to visit Mom? She must have remembered the joke I once told her. If I'm your star, then land on your nose. A woman as timid as she was, she brought her face close to me, her eyes brimming with tears, her gaze profound. My wings trembled and I flew onto her, then crawled onto her nose, lying still. Mom, it's me. I wanted to speak, but now I was just a despised cockroach. Mom smiled, tears silently tracing paths down her cheeks. She looked at me perched on the tip of her nose, her voice choked with emotion. It's you, my little star, I knew it. Even if you turn into a cockroach, you'll still be the prettiest and most adorable cockroach. I had been recognized by Mom, the very first time, and it was so easy. I was filled with confidence that Mom would recognize me in the next 6 transformations too. My wings trembled with joy. Mrs. Tin gently scooped me into her palm, cradling me as if I were a priceless treasure. Don't rush, my star. Come home with Mom, I'll find you a beautiful box. Don't run around recklessly. After carefully bringing me home, Mom rummaged through the cupboards and finally found a beautiful tin candy box. It was a box I'd brought back from a business trip to Shanghai. Mrs. Tin wasn't particularly interested in the candy inside, but she loved the exquisite box. She used it to store needles and thread. Now she emptied out all the needles, thread, and miscellaneous items, carefully placing me inside. Mom hugged the box and murmured, "What do cockroaches like to eat? My star must be hungry. Mom will go find you some food." I timidly used my antennae to thank Mom, wanting to say it wasn't necessary. In a little while I would kill myself, transforming into the next animal to find her. No need to eat. Anyway, can cockroaches starve to death? I didn't know. It was my first time being a cockroach, after all. Mrs. Tin brought breadcrumbs, white rice, and even went into the kitchen to make fried chicken. Before me was a mountain of food. My star, eat quickly. Why aren't you eating anything? She began to worry, tears welling up again. If you don't eat, how can you stay with Mom? I worked so hard to see you again. All right, I gave in. I couldn't bear to see Mom cry because of me. I lowered my head and began to eat enthusiastically. Mom looked at me, reached into the box, and I crawled to embrace her large finger, gently rubbing against it. The moon had set. The first ray of dawn shone into the room. Mrs. Tin opened her eyes, looking at the box in her hand, and softly said, "So it wasn't a dream." I jumped up and down with joy. "Of course, it's real. Mom, your dearest daughter is right here," she smiled contentedly. "My star turned into a cockroach and is with me. That's fine too." Suddenly, a jarring knock echoed from the door. Someone outside was pounding relentlessly, extremely annoying, clearly with no good intentions. Mrs. Tin placed me on the living room table and went to open the door. "Why are you so slow opening the door? My nephew has been waiting outside for ages." Before she could fully enter, Brenda Lan brazenly shoved Mom aside and pulled a child inside. Triangle eyes, high cheekbones, a face etched with years of unchanging greed, dark skin radiating an ominous aura. After her marriage, Mom had cut ties with her side of the family. It was because they tried to force me into an arranged marriage with an exorbitant dowry. Mom's given name, Tin Nam, was changed to Tin. That family had cut off contact, not bothering with us for years. It wasn't until I gained some standing in the agency that they shamelessly sought us out, putting on airs with Mom, hoping to use my connections to save their son, who had been arrested for fighting. I was the one who kicked them out of the house. They stood outside, cursing nonstop for an hour, eventually scared away by a colleague I called. Mom showed them no respect at all. "What are you doing here? You're not welcome. Please leave." Brenda Lan entered, her eyes scanning the room, then let her grandson loose to run wild through my house. "Hey, what kind of strange talk is that, sister? Your daughter is dead, gone. If you don't rely on us, who will you rely on? Everyone says broken bones still cling to tendons. How can siblings abandon each other? My child is like your child, my grandchild is like your grandchild." Mom scoffed coldly. She was no longer swayed by such false kinship. "I don't need any of you." "My daughter was so good. Who would want your useless grandchild?" Brenda Lan glared at Mom, her mouth full of taunts. "No matter how good she was, she's dead now. Who knows what bad things she did in secret that even King Yama wouldn't spare her? I came here out of pity to offer a chance at reconciliation, but you're ungrateful." Mom suddenly stood up, yelling, "My daughter was a hero. Get out of my house right now." But Brenda Lan, thick-skinned as ever, refused to leave, finally revealing her true purpose. "You've got quite a bit of a pension, don't you? I heard it's 500,000. You won't spend all that. My nephew needs money. Lend him 400,000 first, and he'll surely remember your kindness. You won't have to worry about old age." Mom trembled with rage, and I, in my tin box, felt like I was about to explode, wishing I could turn into a giant cockroach and swallow Brenda Lan whole. Just as they were arguing, the unruly child saw the beautiful candy box on the table and reached for it. I felt the ground shake. Looking up, I met the child's horrified gaze. "Oh no," he shrieked, throwing the tin box to the ground. Immediately after, a giant child's shoe descended from the sky. I was crushed into a pile of cockroach meat. The child's piercing scream drew the attention of the two adults. Mrs. Tin saw the tin box fall, then saw me flattened. She froze, collapsing onto the cold floor, unable to get up. Her trembling hand picked up my crushed cockroach body. A cry of ultimate agony tore from her throat. Her distraught state terrified both Brenda Lan and the child. Her gaze shifted to the boy, a look that seemed to wish him dead. Brenda Lan hugged her grandson and retorted defiantly, "My grandson helped you kill a cockroach, and you're still ungrateful. I think you really have problems, making such a fuss over a dead cockroach as if it were a lost life." Mrs. Tin shakily stood up and went into the kitchen to grab a kitchen knife. Brenda Lan, terrified, dragged her grandson and ran for their lives, cursing as they fled, "You're crazy, you lunatic." Finally, they were gone. Mrs. Tin turned around and sank to the floor, tears streaming down her face. I just wanted to embrace her, but my soul was pulled away by a strong force once more. I transformed into a parrot, my entire body covered in emerald green feathers. At the pet bird market, I craned my neck, looking around from inside my cage. A man in a suit walked into the shop, looking for a smart parrot that could chat with an elderly person at home for companionship. The shop owner enthusiastically introduced the parrot next to me, asking for 50,000 yuan, claiming it knew polite phrases and could even sing. The man in the suit seemed to find it expensive and asked for my price. The shop owner said I couldn't talk, and if he really wanted me, he could have me for 300 yuan. He was still hesitating. I couldn't miss this chance. I immediately burst into song, a famous meme tune. He shouted with delight, "Yes, yes, I'll take this one." The shop owner's face turned pale. On the way to his house, I was still plotting my escape. Unexpectedly, the route was very familiar. It was the way to my own home. When he knocked on my door, I was still utterly surprised. Who was this person? Why didn't I recognize him? Mrs. Tin opened the door, her already graying hair, which she hadn't dyed, now sported many new silver strands. The man in the suit called her Madam. Through their conversation, I realized he was a student my father had mentored, almost like an adopted son. I used to be jealous of him once, then I heard he went on a secret mission and disappeared, not even attending my father's funeral. I had been wondering how to find Mom again, and here he was, bringing me right back to her. After he left, I immediately flew around, joyfully chirping, "Mom, Mom, it's me, Star." "Star? Is that Lucian Tin, my star? You've come back." Mrs. Tin gave a bitter laugh, trying to teach me to talk. "Teaching you to say that must have taken a lot of time, right?" Oh no, I was being mistaken for a trained parrot. I shrieked, "Mom and Tin, how could you not recognize your cute daughter? You recognized me even when I was a cockroach." I flew down onto Mom's shoulder, gently nuzzling her cheek, staining it with tears. "Mom, it's me, your star. This isn't a dream, right?" Mom bit herself hard, flustered. "Why doesn't it hurt? Why don't I feel any pain?" She pinched herself vigorously twice more until she finally felt the sting. Mom held me, crying and laughing, a mix of joy and sorrow, almost fainting. This time I could speak, but I couldn't comfort Mom. Wasn't this mouth utterly wasted? I continued to nuzzle as if to say, "Mom, don't be sad, don't cry anymore, crying isn't pretty." I wanted to tell Mom about my wager with King Yama, but as I tried to speak, my voice failed me. Resigned, I could only hint. "I promise you, Mom, as long as you recognize me, I will definitely come back." Mom hugged me, kissing me incessantly with indescribable joy, but the overwhelming emotion left her nearly exhausted. Just then, uninvited guests arrived, Brenda Land's entire family. 3 generations, 5 people, barged into the house. They surrounded Mom, scolding her, claiming she had gone mad and scared their grandchild. They demanded compensation. I broke free from Mom's arms, flying straight up and into Brenda Land's sharp mouth. I attacked her first, avenging the venomous words she'd spoken last time that had pained my mother. After hitting her, I then flew to attack Andrew. Sleeping in the same bed, yet different in heart and form. This man was both cruel and vulgar. The whole group descended into chaos. I flew above their heads, screaming loudly, "There are illegal trespassers here, robbing the house. At least 10 years in prison. You beast, just you wait, I'll tear you apart." Brenda Land covered her mouth, glaring at me with malice, but they couldn't do anything. Finally, I landed on Mom's shoulder. "Aren't you ashamed? Breaking into someone's house and causing trouble without any sense of shame. The house is ruined, call the police." They still intended to rush me, but Mom stood in front of me, a knife in her hand. "Let's see who dares, all of you get out." Brenda Land cursed and swore, both greedy and arrogant. This family even blames others for bad luck, differing husbands, differing children. Even if you have a lot of money, you can't take it to the grave, can you? If you don't give it to my grandchild, who will you give it to? Bring the money into the house, and we'll even take pity and give you some food so you have somewhere to retire. Why make a pleasant matter so tense? Mom was breathless with anger. "I'll leave everything to my daughter. Not a single penny will go to you people. Don't even dream of it." Finally, the police arrived and resolved the incident. After that, Mom and I lived happy days. Every day, I made Mom laugh uncontrollably. Her mental health steadily improved, and her face regained its rosy glow. Until one day, I suddenly collapsed without any warning. Mom frantically called the police. Very quickly, the cause was investigated. The parrot food I loved most had been poisoned by Brenda Land. When she was arrested, she even lifted her head to make excuses. She's crazy, planning to leave all her property to that little parrot. But in the end, she was only charged with intentional destruction of property. Because the parrot's value wasn't high, she wasn't even criminally prosecuted. My mother vomited blood from sheer rage, regretting even more the words she had spoken. She had indirectly led me to my death, but how could I blame Mom? My soul didn't linger long before being swept away once more. For the 3rd time, I transformed into a butterfly. I flew for a very long time, reaching the apartment complex about a week later. My home was on the 3rd floor with a magnolia tree outside the window. The door was tightly shut, and I didn't know what had happened. I couldn't fly inside. I could only perch on the magnolia tree outside. Every day, I silently peered through the window. I noticed that Mom hadn't been home for several days. I didn't dare leave, fearing Mom would return and not find me. But now I couldn't speak, had no hands or feet, and no special understanding like I did as a cockroach. Would Mom still recognize me? Who would even notice a tiny, unremarkable butterfly? A butterfly's lifespan is only a few months. It would die once autumn arrived. Was I destined to give up on this third attempt? My heart was utterly broken. I wasn't willing to concede, but very quickly, an idea struck me. I began to flap my wings against the window pane. Pollen from my wings fell, sticking to the glass, but it wasn't enough. I flapped continuously, aiming to use all the pollen to draw a five-pointed star. My wings tore to shreds, 3 legs broke, but I finally managed to leave a faint star shape on the glass. Yet it was too faint. If not seen up close, it would be invisible. I was exhausted, almost all the pollen gone from my wings. I dragged my tattered wings, continuing to wait by the window. Waiting for Mom to come home, the autumn wind had begun to blow and my lifespan was now counted in hours. Butterflies don't live long to begin with, and with my body so tortured, I probably wouldn't survive a week. I continued to wait for 3 more days. Finally, Mom returned. I wanted to fly, but I couldn't anymore. I could only watch Mom from outside the window. Mom looked very gaunt. It turned out she had been sick for the past few days. What kind of sickness? Was it serious? Who was taking care of her? I wanted to ask 1,000 questions, but could only tremble with my remaining half-wing. Mom, please come to the window, look at me. It doesn't matter who it is, just if someone could pull Mom here to see the sign I left. I still wanted to fly into Mom's hand, to feel the warmth of her palm. My prayer seemed to be heard by someone. Mrs. Tin felt something, and suddenly walked to the window. She didn't understand why, she just felt something drawing her there. Then her pupils suddenly constricted, and she raised a hand to cover her mouth. She saw the star shape I had left, faint and subtle as it was, she still recognized it as a 5-pointed star. You've come back, haven't you, my star? She choked up, tears once again wetting the corners of her eyes. I tried to flutter my wings a little for her to see. Mom, 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 it's me. The window finally opened. I struggled to crawl into her hand. Mom's hand trembled violently. I almost fell, but still managed to climb up with all my might. Mom's heart was truly warm. I was utterly satisfied that Mom had recognized me this time. The life of a butterfly was also coming to an end. The cold autumn wind had already buried my life. For the 4th time, I transformed into a white calico cat, probably a bit over a year old, in the rebellious phase of youth. Luckily, I was still in the same city, so I didn't have to wander far to find my way home. Unluckily, I was still a bit far from home. Survival before reaching home was an issue, but not an insurmountable one. I licked my fur, a fierce gleam in my eyes. The calico's inherent aggressiveness, combined with my human intellect, made becoming the alpha cat as easy as pie. I fought and won everywhere, unrivaled in the feline world. I became the cat king. My subordinates served me with great respect, connecting all the cat internet in the area. Calico cats followed me, bringing back much useful information. Meow, 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 your old neighborhood is about to be demolished. No, I had to return quickly. If they moved, where would I find Mom? I ran on all fours like the wind, day and night without rest, finally arriving at the familiar neighborhood. Heaven still favored me. As soon as I arrived, I bumped right into Mom, returning from the market with groceries. Mrs. Tin wore a thick coat and looked even thinner. She had lost so much weight. I choked back a small meow, scampering to her feet, feigning a fall, rolling on the ground to expose my belly, and meowing plaintively. Meow, fall. I was so cute, how could Mom not be moved? Look at me. I didn't believe Mom wouldn't even glance. Pick me up, take me home. Recognize me quickly. On the lamppost, 5 or 6 cat heads had appeared from nowhere, staring intently. They whispered in cat speak, "Isn't that old Alpha from Zone A? He's meowing like a kitten." I knew humans called this feigning for 5 minutes of glory, a lifetime of riches. My face flushed. Even cats could feel embarrassed. I quickly brushed myself off and stood up, pretending not to have heard anything. I tilted my head, observing Mom's expression. Seeing she was starting to soften, I had to perform even better. I gently scratched her pant leg, looking up with a pitiful cat face. "Meow, meow," I whined, "take me home, please." My mother was finally moved by my yearning gaze, sighing helplessly. "Little cat, Mom might not be a good owner, but if you don't mind, come home with Mom, okay?" I knew it, Mom was so soft-hearted. The fake fall and make a scene trick always worked. I obediently followed Mom's every step home. As soon as I entered, I scanned the room. Not bad. The house was clean and tidy, proving Mom wasn't too distraught yet. But why hadn't she recognized me? I said I would return. Soon enough, I learned the reason. A few small meows echoed from the balcony. Two white-spotted kittens poked their heads out, peeking. Damn it, someone had taken my place. No wonder Mom wasn't thinking of me. How embarrassing for the scene-making cat. I adopted my cat king demeanor, and while Mom was turned away getting cat food, I immediately declared my territory in this house. The two little ones trembled. After my outburst, I also felt ashamed. I was an adult, but I was jealous of two kittens. It was truly mortifying. But now the situation was different. The presence of these two kittens made it even harder for Mom to recognize me. I wanted to leave a star-shaped mark for Mom to see, like I did as a butterfly. But the tiled floor didn't make it easy to leave traces. The only place I could mark was inside the cat litter box. I, the feline daredevil, frowned. I chased the two kittens out of the litter box, clawing at the sand, finally managing to scratch out a rough shape. I joyfully ran to Mom's feet, meowing loudly to call her over. But when Mom and Tin followed me to the spot, one of the kittens had already used the litter box. My drawing was ruined. I let out a pathetic wail. The kittens were too young, not yet at level 4 of understanding, so they didn't grasp my meaning. They only knew they had done something wrong, their eyes brimming with pitiful tears. Mom misunderstood, gently saying, "Do you want to go to the bathroom? Little Black is still using it. Wait a moment, okay? Tomorrow Mom will buy another one, or I can take you to the human bathroom." I could only lament in my heart. I had to find another opportunity. Several days passed, and I still couldn't find an opportune moment. If Little Black didn't mess it up, Little White would. Kittens really were the husky dogs of the cat world. I felt like going crazy but could do nothing. It seemed Mom wasn't as clear-headed as before either. Every other day, she'd forget to feed the cats. But she was aware of it. The next time she remembered, she'd apologize to us, even saying she'd buy an automatic feeder so we could press it ourselves and not go hungry. I raised my cat paw high, solemnly declaring, "We must deal with this seriously. Expedite the construction of an automatic feeding mechanism, ensuring cats eat on time and don't go hungry." Mom's actions were very swift. The next day, there was a self-serve buffet. The two kittens ate as if they'd never eaten before. How much you eat must be controlled. Only I could manage my portion size. I had to look after the two kittens, think of a way for Mom to recognize me, and still prance around in front of Mom to assert my existence. I felt so tired. Just raising two kittens was this hard. When Mom raised me, it must have been infinitely harder. That day, Mom didn't go out, staying cooped up at home all day. I chased Liang Xiaoji out onto the balcony to show off, while I curled up comfortably in Mom's lap. Mrs. and Tin was watching short videos, and a movie review caught my eye, making my cat eyes wide and bright. It was Tom Cruise's Vanilla Sky *. There was a line I loved. "In the next life, when we are both cats, see you then." I was suddenly overcome with emotion, stretching out a paw to stop Mom from scrolling the screen. I pointed at that part and let out a string of meow, meow, meows. Just as the movie review mentioned that line, I became even more agitated, rubbing fiercely against Mom's face. Mom didn't understand, just kept trying to soothe me, thinking I was thirsty, hungry, or needed to use the bathroom. Perhaps my meows were too loud, so Mom couldn't hear the movie line. But that movie reminded me of something. Because I loved it so much, I had bought the DVD. If Mom hadn't cleaned up, the disc would still be on the bookshelf in my room. I jumped off Mom's lap and ran into my room. Sure enough, it was still there. I picked up the DVD in my mouth and ran to Mom, repeatedly bumping against her. Mom didn't understand, but seeing my strange behavior and knowing cats very well, she seemed to have a premonition. I added fuel to the fire, using my cat claws to scratch on the disc's surface, drawing a heart shape. I looked up and cried loudly, "Meow, meow, 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 meow. Mom, it's Lucy and Tin." "I turned into a cat to find you." Mrs. and Tin finally confirmed the intuition in her heart. Her nose stung. "You've come back. Tin, I waited for you. I'm sorry I didn't recognize you at first." She hugged me, tears streaming down her face. Why did Mom cry every time she recognized me? I didn't want Mom to cry, I wanted her to be happy. I licked Mom's tears, they were so bitter. The two spotted kittens, full from eating, also tried to imitate me, wanting Mom's hug. "Hee, Mom is all mine, okay? I'm different from them." I proudly reveled in the envious looks of the two little ones, but my joy didn't last long. Perhaps it was a lingering effect from my time fighting on the streets. I started to get sick fatigue, stomach ache, vomiting. Mom frantically took me to the vet. The diagnosis was feline panleukopenia, a cat plague, and it was progressing very rapidly. In less than 2 days, I could only lie there curled up, unable to move. My mother cried until her tears ran dry. Not wanting me to suffer, Mom chose euthanasia for me. In my final moments, she kept apologizing. "I'm sorry, Tin Tin, I can't bear to see you suffer. Next time, remember to come back and find Mom, okay? I'll wait for you forever." I didn't blame Mom at all. The Calico King gently licked Mom's fingertip, then calmly closed her eyes. For the 5th time, I opened my eyes in a small plastic tank, my limbs moving sluggishly, devoid of any agility. Oh, so I had become a baby turtle. A colorful plastic ring fell from above. I retracted my head, the ring landed beside me. It turned out I was at a hoop-tossing game stand with turtles as targets. I slowly scanned my surroundings and unexpectedly spotted a familiar figure. It was Mom. I retracted my turtle head, agitated. She was talking to the stall owner. They were negotiating something. Then Mom bought a pile of plastic rings. Was Mom going to toss hoops at me? I was the only living animal on the stall. It had to be me she was aiming for. Mrs. Tin pursed her lips, her gaze serious and focused on me. Each plastic ring was tossed. Some grazed my side, some landed behind, some in front. Mom's aim had never been good. She'd never hit a target, whether hoop tossing or claw machines. I struggled, eventually rolling out of the tank. I dragged myself inch by inch towards Mom. "Mom, I'm coming." I tried to crawl as fast as possible, but it took me 5 minutes to crawl less than 5 meters. Mom saw me crawling and called out, trying, "If you're Tin Tin, can you crawl to Mom?" Hearing her, I crawled even harder. "It's me, Mom." The people around looked at Mom strangely, keeping their distance. Who talks to a turtle and calls herself a turtle's mother? She must have lost a child and is mentally distressed. But Mom didn't care about anyone's stares. She just focused on me, her belief unwavering. Suddenly, a large hand grabbed me. The stall owner snatched me up, threw me back into the plastic tank, and covered it. "Breaking the rules like that isn't allowed. Stay put in there." I was thrown, dazed. Mom outside recognized me and asked to buy me again, but the owner looked troubled. He said there was no such rule, you had to hit the target to take it. Mrs. Tin had no other choice but to buy many, many more plastic rings. With her arm full, she tossed each ring towards me. Time after time, I was dying of impatience, constantly bumping against the plastic tank's sides, trying with all my might to push the lid off. All I could think was to break free from this confinement. I failed repeatedly, my head bleeding from the impacts. I was almost in despair. At this moment, a crowd gathered around Mom again. Anyone seeing her buy so many rings and not hit a single one would surely feel sympathy, especially with Mrs. Tin's face clearly showing worry and heartache. A young man passing by bought 10 rings and with a flick of his wrist hit me immediately. Mrs. Tin immediately pleaded, "Young man, I'll pay you, please let me take him home. You can have however much you want." The young man shook his head, handing the plastic tank to her. "It's a gift for you." Then he turned and left. His friend asked, "Why didn't you take the money? She would have paid any price you asked." The young man simply said, "You said she wasn't normal, didn't you? So old, yet so pathetic. Consider it a good deed for the day." Mrs. Tin didn't have time to thank him, clutching me tightly to her chest, the plastic rings scattering on the ground. Joy was evident on her face as she hurried home with me. She carefully placed me in the fish tank at home. A few goldfish swam closer. I blew some bubbles to greet them. Then Mom and I gazed at each other intently through the glass. I tapped against the glass wall, wanting to tell Mom I was fine. Mom's finger reached into the tank, gently touching my injured head. I slowly shifted away, lifting my head to kiss her fingertip. "Now that you've kissed me, please don't cry anymore." This time, Mrs. Tin didn't cry. She pressed her face against the cold glass, in her eyes a gentle smile. "This is great. Mom brought you home again. They say turtles live a very long time. Tin Tin, this time you can stay with Mom for a very long time, right?" I couldn't answer. Not because turtles can't speak, but because I dared not promise. I also wanted to always be with Mom, but I wished it to be in my human form. I had 2 more chances. If both were successful, I would be resurrected, able to stay with Mom for a very long time, protect her, and never let her be sad again. We pressed against each other tightly through a layer of glass. "Mom, I'm sorry. This time I probably can't stay with you for too long. A brief separation only to meet again sooner. Please wait for me." A turtle's lifespan is long, but I was injured and I didn't need to live that long. Mom slept on the sofa, just to be able to see me first thing when she woke up. When Mom was fast asleep, I slowly crawled out of the tank. Following familiar memories, I crawled back to my room. Curled up in the corner under the bed, the floor was warm from the winter heating. A long-lived turtle, wet and injured, quietly ended its life in a warm, dry corner. We would meet again. I'm sorry, Mom, but I know you will surely forgive me. For the 6th time, I shed the heavy turtle shell and donned a shaggy coat of fur. I transformed into an ugly monkey in the zoo. So ugly that even I, looking at myself through the glass, couldn't accept the cruel reality. I was a hideous macaque, unlike those pink-faced monkeys. My face was bright red, my mouth twisted, my nose crooked. One look and children would scream. I sat on the ground, turning my back to the visitors, drawing circles in the dirt with a stick, utterly dejected. Trapped in a zoo like this, how could I ever meet Mom? I looked up. The fence was tens of meters high. Escape was nearly impossible. I could only wait for Mom to find me, but I could wait until I was old and still wouldn't see her. What should I do? What should I do? I tore at my head, pulling out a patch of fur until I had a bald spot. I turned back to observe the tourists, hoping to find a way through them. Just then, an old man cried out, "Ah, my phone." He accidentally dropped his phone while taking a picture. The phone fell from the sky, and I immediately became alert, staring at it, reaching out to catch it. I did, but my hand was hit so hard that it broke. The excruciating pain reflexively made me want to let go, but my mind commanded me not to. My arm trembled violently. My right hand was useless. I clutched the phone tightly, running like the wind to a hidden corner of the monkey enclosure. Using my large, clumsy left thumb, I opened the messaging app. I started typing Mom's phone number. I wanted to send a message to Mom. "Mom, I'm at Lin's Sun Zoo." As I painstakingly tried to type each character with a crude monkey finger, just as I reached the word monkey, the zookeeper appeared. He held a protective stick and walked straight towards me. He was surely coming to retrieve the phone. No, I hadn't finished writing, but he arrived too quickly. I only managed to hit send before the phone was snatched away. I was pinned down with the stick, only able to emit weak, desperate cries. I hadn't even had time to tell Mom I had turned into a monkey. I believed Mom would definitely come find me, but Lin's Sun Zoo was so vast, how would she ever find me? Every day, I sat in the most visible spot in the monkey enclosure. To claim that spot, despite a severe injury to my right hand, I fought desperately to defeat the alpha monkey. I looked up at the visitor area, trying to distinguish every woman's face, afraid that even a moment's inattention would make me miss Mom. I waited until I was weary. On the other side, Mrs. Tin received a strange message. At that moment, she had just searched the entire house and discovered her daughter's turtle had died from being wet under the bed. She sat blankly on the floor, as if she still didn't understand what was happening. Before she could grieve, the strange message completely captivated her attention. "It's my Tin, actively reaching out to me. It's Lin's Sun Zoo, my child is at Lin's Sun Zoo." 50 minutes later, Mrs. Tin walked through the grand gates of Lin's Sun Zoo. The zoo was immense, with over 1,000 species of animals. It would take an entire day to see them all. She clutched her phone, calling the strange number, begging the owner to reveal their touring itinerary for the day. At first, she was treated as if she were crazy, and the person immediately hung up. The second time, she cried and pleaded, "Just tell me, and I'm willing to pay." The person tentatively named a figure, and she transferred the money via Alipay without blinking. Finally, the person told her the tour route. He had been to the golden-capped monkey exhibit, the red panda exhibit, the aquarium, the giant panda exhibit, the South China tiger exhibit, the elephants, the flamingos. He had almost covered the entire zoo. She then asked if he had lost his phone during that time. The person was silent for a moment before replying, "No." After that, he became unreachable. He had blocked her number. With no other option, Mrs. Tin began to search each enclosure, asking every animal. Although she knew only a few species could send messages, she still thought, what if Tin turned into a baby elephant? What if she used her trunk to type? Or a red panda used her cute little paws to press buttons? Or a flamingo used her long beak to type each letter? Even with her reason in disarray, she refused to give up. With even a glimmer of hope, she went to each exhibit, calling out to every animal. "Are you my Tin? If so, come to Mom." She asked this of every animal. For every animal that actively approached her, her voice was already hoarse from calling. Finally, she reached the monkey enclosure. This was her last battle. Despair gradually crept onto her face, yet she still held onto a fragile hope. She stooped, looking at each monkey. Tin, are you here?" The monkeys stared blankly, then turned away. No one paid any attention. Mrs. Tin collapsed in front of the monkey enclosure. "It can't be." Tin clearly said she was at Lin's Sun Zoo. Did I miss something? I, meanwhile, was running a high fever due to an infected wound. I was confined to an isolation area for treatment. I didn't want to be locked up. I had to get back to that visible spot, waiting for Mom to find me. I pounded on the door, shouting and screaming, "Let me out!" The ugly monkey screamed violently, then was sedated. I closed my eyes unwillingly. I had missed my chance. I didn't know. The day I was confined was also the day Mom left in disappointment. When I was released, I immediately rushed back to my familiar spot. I consoled myself, "It can't be this unlucky. Mom will surely come back." I waited for 3 whole days, my eyes nearly blind from straining to see, burning with pain. I still didn't give up. Maybe Mom had an emergency. I had to be more patient. During that time, I nervously pulled at the fur on my head until it created a bald patch shaped like a star. I wanted Mom to recognize me with just one glance. On the 4th day, snow began to fall. The other monkeys all hid in sheltered corners, but I remained in my spot. Snow fell, drenching my fur. I gently shook myself, lifting my head to continue looking. What did I see? It was Mom. It was Mrs. in tin wearing a black down jacket. I jumped up with joy, waving both hands, dancing nonstop. Look at me, Mom, look at me." Indeed, Mom saw me. She gripped the fence, her hoarse voice letting out a choked sound. "Is that Tin Tin?" "If it's you, come to Mom." Mom's voice sounded scorched like hot coals. I climbed to the highest point of the monkey enclosure, extending my arm, trying to reach Mom above, but it was still too far. I couldn't touch her. I turned my head to show Mom the star-shaped bald spot. The ugly monkey's face was full of tears. "Mom, I'm so ugly now. Will you recognize me this time?" Mrs. in tin burst into joyful tears, also trying to reach out and touch me. Half her body almost fell over, and a staff member had to pull her back. She begged to come closer to me but was flatly refused. She pleaded, almost kneeling, before the staff member reluctantly made an exception, allowing her to come closer, but only to stand 5 meters away, absolutely no touching. I was utterly thrilled to see Mom, rushing towards her, wanting to hug her. Mom also opened her arms, calling my name, but just as I ran halfway, a staff member pinned me down. Dangerous. Signs of aggression, please escort visitors away from here. Quickly, tranquilize it. I was held to the ground, struggling continuously, desperately wanting Mom's embrace. Mom worriedly ran back but was also chased out of the visitor area. "For your safety, we are forced to ask you to leave. You have violated regulations." I saw Mom pleading with the staff for my sake, but she was still escorted away. As for me, under the effects of the tranquilizer, I fell into a deep sleep. My soul screamed in despair. When I woke up, I was incredibly quiet, disturbingly calm. I knew Mom had recognized me. Now I was just a monkey, I couldn't leave this place. But my soul could. I climbed to the highest peak of the monkey enclosure, making one last free fall. "I'm sorry, Mom, this isn't giving up on life, but I truly have no other way. I will atone for this." For the 7th time, I escaped the monkey's body and transformed into a yellow stray dog. For the 7th time, I shed the monkey's body and became a yellow stray dog. I wagged my tail nonstop with joy. Remembering my experience as a calico cat, I knew I was still free. This final recognition was surely going to be easy. I was about to win. I was about to be resurrected. I eagerly ran towards home. For 2 days straight, I neither slept nor rested. When hungry, I rummaged through trash cans. When thirsty, I licked ice and snow in the park. The temperature was below freezing, leaves stripped bare from trees. I trampled on dry leaves, but my steps were unusually cheerful. I was about to reunite with the mother I loved most. As long as Mom recognized me, I could be reborn. I had never won a bet with anyone before. But this time, the most crucial battle of my life, I would definitely win. Finally, I returned to my old spot, only to find a desolate wasteland of ruins. I froze, then remembered. Right, my house was demolished. I'd forgotten, but where did Mom move to? I frantically ran around in the vast sea of people, not knowing where to find Mom. From a pile of rubble emerged a fat yellow cat holding a large mouse in its mouth. It stared at me. I tried to speak in cat language, asking it, "Do you know the woman who used to raise 2 small cream-colored cats here? Where did she move?" It was startled and dropped the mouse. The mouse seized the opportunity and fled. The yellow cat was incredulous, a dog that could speak cat. It didn't understand, but it was a kind cat. Thanks to the internal cat network, I found a rough location. Luckily, thanks to the reputation of Little Black and Little White, my 2 mischievous cats, all the cats in the surrounding area knew about them. I meowed my thanks to the yellow cat. It turned to tell its companions, "Can you believe it? I met a dog that can speak cat." Mom's new house wasn't too far, close for a human, but still a long journey for a dog. I evaded dog catchers, fighting with other stray dogs for food. I felt no fatigue, only heading towards Mom. I was once bitten by a pack of dogs until my fur fell out, all for a piece of expired sausage. Being a stray dog was truly hard. I curled up inside an old cardboard box. The cold wind whistled past my ears, my whole body trembling like jelly. But the belief in reuniting with Mom kept me resilient, kept me going. I traveled for a whole week, finally reaching Mom's new residence. Just then, Mom was carrying a bag of trash, standing by the bin, lost in thought. Seeing Mrs. and Tin's familiar figure, I was overcome with emotion, wanting only to rush into Mom's arms and whine. "Mom, do you know what I've been through to get here? How much I've suffered?" I joyfully wagged my tail and dashed towards Mom, but I startled her. She fell to the ground. A man rushed over, kicking me away with a powerful blow. That kick was delivered with full force. I felt as if my internal organs were shattered. The man quickly helped Mom up. "Madam, are you all right? Did the dog bite you?" My mother, still disoriented, shook her head. "I'm fine, it's just a small dog. I've been afraid of dogs for a long time." Then she turned to comfort him. "Don't tell Tin that Mom is afraid, okay? I don't want her to worry." The young man, Zhang Jai, nodded awkwardly. "Yes, I won't tell Tin." I lay on the side, both in pain and bewildered. "Who is Tin? Isn't that me right here?" Mom patted Zhang Jai's chest, saying, "Also, don't tell your master. He's been so busy with the case lately. I don't want to bother him with trivial matters." Zhang Jai opened his mouth to speak, then only replied softly, "Yes." My mind exploded. Zhang Jai took Mom inside. Not long after, he came out to answer his phone. I dragged my battered dog body and quietly hid nearby, eavesdropping. Zhang Jai said to the person on the other end, "Yes, her memory is confused. It's reverted to a week before her husband passed away. She's gotten lost 3 times. The diagnosis is Alzheimer's." My fear had come true. I burst into tears. It turned out Mom had forgotten me, forgotten Dad had passed away, even forgotten that I too was dead. She had forgotten all our unspoken promises. She didn't recognize me anymore. In Mom's memory, her beloved daughter was still vibrantly alive, not constantly transforming into various animals to find her way back, and certainly not a dirty, exhausted stray dog. The snow fell thicker and thicker, like cotton torn into strands. I stood there silently, looking towards Mom's house. It must have been very warm inside, but I couldn't enter anymore. The only belief that kept me alive shattered, my will collapsed. I gathered all my remaining strength, using my dog claws to draw on the wall. A 5-pointed star, despite the slippery ice, my skin tearing and bleeding. Even if I died, I would do so in the name of Lucian Tin. When I died, my small dog body was covered in a cold, white blanket of snow. I had lost. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't win. Why did it give me hope, only to throw me into despair? I felt like I had stepped onto a ladder to heaven, full of hope, only to miss a step and fall straight to the bottom of hell. It was truly too unfair. I wailed miserably in the underworld, my eyes swollen like walnuts, crying endlessly, stirring the Mengpo soup as I cried. Mengpo frowned. "How many bowls of soup have you made? Everyone says it's too salty." I ignored her, just kept crying. I was in too much pain. I had never done evil my entire life. Why did I have to suffer like this? I don't know how many bowls of soup I had cooked when King Yama appeared. He told me, "You can be resurrected." I froze, dropping the ladle into the soup, and Mengpo hit me on the head. Coming back to my senses, I quickly asked, "Why?" King Yama waved his hand, and a water mirror appeared before me, showing a series of images. After I, the dog, died, Little Black and Little White secretly ran out and lingered around my body. My mother, when going to find her cats, found me. She saw the star symbol next to me, and even though it was faint, she humanely buried me. Then another scene appeared. When my mother was on her deathbed, she was unusually lucid, like a final reflection. Zhang Jai was by her bedside. Mom held his hand and said, "All the property under my name, half for you and half please help me donate to the Animal Welfare Association." She looked out the window, tears falling. Tin, you were that yellow dog, weren't you? I'm sorry, I didn't recognize." "Are you angry so you stopped looking for Mom? Finally, please come and pick me up." Mom called my name and shed tears, then closed her eyes and passed away. I cried like a fool, only able to sob uncontrollably. Why did I have to die again? King Yama placed a hand on my shoulder. "Your mother recognized you 7 times. You won this wager." I was still sobbing. "What's the use of resurrection? Mom isn't here anymore." King Yama patted my shoulder. "Don't be so hasty, little comrade. The grass on your grave is already this tall. Should I really just let you pop up and come back to life?" I mean, resurrection is for you to return to the moment before the accident occurred. I truly came back to life, returning to before the kidnapping incident happened. As if with divine aid, I accurately predicted the kidnapper's location and weapons. We acted swiftly, successfully rescuing the hostage without any casualties. After the operation ended, I declined the commendation ceremony from my superiors and immediately rushed home. My mother, Mrs. Tin, was sitting, knitting a sweater. She saw me return, dusty and disheveled, froze for a moment, then smiled and asked, "What's wrong? Tin, are you on break?" I rushed into Mom's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "Mom, it's been so long since I've seen you, but now I'm back as a human, alive, and I can meet you as my true self. I knew you would never disappoint me." News of the successful large-scale kidnapping rescue operation aired on television. The Public Security Bureau received a letter of commendation. I represented the unit in a televised interview. The very next evening, Brenda Land's family saw me on TV and shamelessly came to my house with 2 bags of spoiled fruit, using the excuse of the approaching Mid-Autumn Festival to visit relatives. I stood blocking the door, smiling coldly. Where did these fake relatives crawl out from? My mother's side of the family died out long ago. Andrew, her husband, tried to act like an elder, pretending to lecture. "What do you mean, niece? We are still family, after all. I don't have any relatives as despicable as you people." Her son, a cunning hooligan, chimed in. "Cousin, having more relatives means more connections. Get out, my house doesn't welcome you." Mrs. Tin stood behind me and said, "Let them in." Then she turned and winked at me. I understood. After they entered, the nephew started his tricks again, lying. I stood with my arms crossed, observing coldly. My mother calmly retorted. When Brenda Land suggested introducing her son to be my boss, Mom calmly replied, "It's fine if my daughter doesn't marry. No one needs to meddle in her affairs." After saying that, she went into her room. I also made an excuse to make a phone call, leaving the living room. That family had originally intended to squat there indefinitely, but the child subtly signaled, something yellow flashing in a pocket. It turned out they planned to steal something, specifically my gold bracelet. It was all of my year's salary. Nam Liang could barely afford it. To cover their tracks, they stealthily slipped away. Mom and I watched them on the security camera, smirking. That gold bracelet was your entire year's salary, enough for their whole family to live on porridge. As a result, Brenda Land's son was caught red-handed and sentenced to 5 years in prison. She and Andrew were also prosecuted according to the law for aiding in the theft. The disgusting relatives finally got their karma. Mom and I, in high spirits, decided to travel, admiring the beautiful landscape of our country. In the Underworld, King Yama was asked, if everyone like Lucian Tin were resurrected, wouldn't it cause chaos? King Yama shook his head. It's never common for good-hearted people to be reborn. Lucian Tin's family accumulated virtue for 3 generations. Her mother did good deeds her entire life, never doing evil. Not to mention, her sacrifice saved a life, and that person later accumulated virtue and did good deeds for their entire life. Her resurrection is the culmination of countless blessings. If there were others like her, then why shouldn't they be resurrected?